he restores like the warp drive is out, and they need to get the fuck out of there. So
but the radiation in the engine chamber is out of control.
And so Spock goes in there, like locks himself in there, and fixes the warp drive, and
basically
dies as a result.
Fries himself, yeah.
But
not before touching McCoy's face, knocking McCoy out, and then soul raping him. As we'll see in the next movie.
And saying remember. And then there's a really touching scene with Kirk and Spock.
There is, where he brings up the Kobayashi Maru again, which is sort of the central thread of the movie. It's central metaphor of the no-win situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And he says, "I never took the test. What do you think of my solution?" And he tells him the line about I am, and I always have been, and shall always be your friend. I think. And he also straightens his uniform when he stands up, like he's kind of collapsed in a corner when Kirk comes to see him, and he has that very dignified, like, I'm going out in style.
Yeah, dude. It's like, if I'm going out, dude,
I'm going to leave a good-looking corpse. Well, kinda.
Kinda. I mean,
I'm at least going to straighten my coat.
Exactly.
Although there is one thing that I wonder if it was a blooper, where he's walking towards Kirk. Did you notice this? And he bumps into the door and then turns to look at him. Do you think that was intentional? Like, Spock's so fucked up at this point, he can't really...
No, I think that was... I thought.
Okay.
When I watched it, I thought it was... Like, that's... like,
okay.
You can barely, like, function.
Right, okay. They make sense within the context of the scene, but I always wondered about it just because the angle was a little strange. Like, he bumps in the foreground, then turns.
Like, the director pulled a Kevin Smith and... Like in Chasing Amy. And
where the camera starts moving before the actors do.
And when you can like see the reflection apparently.
Yeah, you can see the camera crew and the reflection on the car or something.
And he's like, no, it's too good.
The take's too good, fuck it.
And I was like, well, if you're a good director, you can probably get that.
Well, it's not like that scene... Well, I guess the emotional effects in that scene... I mean, Spielberg left a reflection of Harrison Ford in Raiders of the Lost Ark. In the scene where he falls into the pit of souls and the snake comes up in his face... Obviously, Spielberg's not like, fuck it, get in there with a poisonous snake. He put, glass between them, and you can see the reflection in the original cut. I think they took it out of the DVD, so you probably can't see it anymore. But if you can hunt down an old 35 print...
Or a VHS copy.
Or a VHS copy, or a Laserdisc.
Laserdiscs. How do you... So they have like this big, like... funeral for Spock, and
then they shoot him onto the Genesis planet. Whoa, by the way, the Genesis planet happened.
Yeah, it happens. Oh, and Khan dies.
Yeah,
and
how does he die? Kirk somehow
blows it up.
Boom. Well, and then Khan initiates the Genesis thing because he's like, "Fuck it, I'm taking you with me." Yeah. How do they get around Khan though? How do they? Oh, it's because he doesn't think three-dimensionally, so they're able to sneak up on him, right? Okay. Becca's laughing at us, but Khan is smart, but he's inexperienced.
Yes, exactly.
He thinks linearly instead of three-dimensionally. He's not used to space combat. Becca's laughing at us.
Well, no, he couldn't be because he's never experienced it.
Exactly. He's used to warfare on the high seas.
Exactly.
He was a conqueror on Earth, not in space.
And Kurt gives this little closing monologue that it combined with a shot of
Spock's coffin on the Genesis planet. Yeah, and he's like, if Genesis truly is life from death or something like that, then I will have to return here someday.
And so it's like,
Now, originally, Nicholas Meyer didn't want that shot of the coffin on the planet. Like, they added that after he was done shooting. And he sees the movie at the premiere.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, hey!
Hey! What is going on
here? And
apparently
the remember thing that Spock does was also added after the fact. Shatner didn't know they shot it. It wasn't in the script. Like, basically what happened was Nimoy said he would come back for another one, but they had to kill him. And but then as they were making the movie, he's like, actually, this one's pretty good. I wouldn't mind doing this again.
Okay. Like, he'd come back for... I thought you meant, like, after Star Trek 2... he would come back for another one, but they'd have to kill him. Like, look, I'll come back for 3, but then you got to figure out a way that I die, but I come back.
And then I die again.
That's the only way. But no, okay, so...
Yeah, after the first one, he was like, I'm fucking done playing Spock. This movie wasn't that good. But then, while making 2, he was like, this actually is pretty good. So, yeah, let's leave a back door open.
And didn't he write a book? Didn't Leonard Nimoy write a book called I Am Not Spock?
Yes, but he later wrote another one called I Am Spock.
Yeah,
so
in 1975 he wrote I Am Not Spock, and then in 1995 he said I Am Spock.
it took him 20 years to come back around and be like, I guess my career is over except for Spock. But he embraced it, and I think to his credit.
I Am Not Spock.
It's such an iconic performance. It's sort of a hard thing, I guess, for viewers to get around.
I Am Not Spock.
Great movie. We didn't describe the plot that well, but fuck it. Well, if you haven't seen the movie, then let's just talk about what we liked and didn't like.
I felt like you were gonna say if you haven't seen the movie by now, you're never going to see it.
Yeah, you're never.
I mean, I didn't see it up until a couple months ago.
Yeah, but now you've seen it like 3 times.
Yeah.
What was?
Khan's chest hair?
No, Khan had no chest hair, but he had a massive chest.
Like,
No.
He's fucking ripped. Ricardo
like,
Montalban he kept up his gym work while Shatner was expanding around the middle. Montalban was keeping it tight.
Yeah. He's like, I have to...
I'm waiting for that call.
Just in case.
For Space Seed 2.
So...
Where Shatner's full on girdle at this point, right? He's got to be.
He was looking pretty trim in Motion Picture.
He is. Oh, by the way, did you think his performance was extra stiff in Motion Picture compared to, like, his other... Like, of all the original crew members returning, he felt the stiffest and least like his character. To me.
A little bit.
Especially in the early scenes.
Yeah, a little bit. But he did have... I mean, he had one line, like... where like Spock had to fire something, and he goes, "Spock, fire the torpedo," something like that.
Yeah, that's right. The black hole scene that goes on for like 20 minutes. No,
like
don't fire the torpedo. Like the torpedo is the word I latched onto because it sounds so funny.
In the motion picture, there's a part where they go into a black hole. And everything is like...
Because they warp too soon or something.
Everything is like slowed down.
And all trippy acid, like everything's got a tracer.
It goes on for like fucking half an hour, it seems like.
That's the problem with the movie, is all this shit goes on for half an hour. Like all this shit that should have been a few seconds. And then they find an asteroid and shoot some lasers at it and everything's fine. But anyway, Wrath of Khan, great movie. If you don't like it, then fuck you. If you like Motion Picture but not Wrath of Khan, then you're going to face the Wrath of Sean.
I
was looking for an opening.
Then they had Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, which came out 2 years later.
Yeah, they got right to work on it. Directed by Leonard Nimoy.
Yes, Leonard Nimoy was like, I will come back, but I'll have to direct.
And he's barely in the movie, so it kind of works.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's only at the very end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are scenes at the beginning, but it's just the end of 2.
Yeah, I mean, I say, like, as far as, like, new footage.
Yeah, and he only has, like, 2 or 3 lines in the film. The rest of the time, it's younger actors with pointy-eared makeup making out with not Kirstie Alley or whatever.
We were watching it last night, and, like, that opening scene, which is from 2,
mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I've already seen this before, but I haven't seen it in blue.
Yeah, and they even do Nimoy doing the opening monologue again over the shots. It's literally like I gotta stop saying literally. It's like the Rocky movies or the Karate Kid movies where each one starts with the last 5 to 10 minutes of the one before it, and then bleeds right into the next one.
Yeah.
I think 3 gets a bad rap. I think it's pretty good. It's not great. It's not nearly as good as 2 or 4. I think that's its big crime, is it's not as good as its bookends. Do I need to get a towel?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Sergio just ejaculated.
No, okay.
I'm just gonna eat it. Yeah. There are Pop Rocks baked into my cart, but I'm not getting my deposit back. So the Enterprise goes back to Earth to get decommissioned, and the Excelsior's shown. That's going to be like the new Enterprise. They're like, fuck your old ship, even though we just retrofitted it like 4 years ago. But we got a better ship.
So we get Sirach shows back up.
Sarek.
Sirach's the badass.
He's the Vulcan Jesus. Vulcan Lincoln.
Vulcan Lincoln.
Sarek's just Spock's
Just
Pappy.
regular Spock's Pappy.
The miscegenating, because he mixed the races, Roddenberry style.
And he shows up and he tells, I'm very tired. I stayed up until 5:30 watching
Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 3.
Like, I just can't sleep. It's too good.
And then woke up like around 11
to come to Iron Man 3
to go see Iron Man 3.
Was it worth it?
Totes worth it.
Totes worth it.
But I'm gonna crash pretty hard tonight.
All right, so basically, Sarek shows up and yells at Kirk. He's like, "Why did you leave him on the Genesis?
Why did you let my son die, you dick?"
Yeah, and he's like, "It wasn't my choice." He's like, "Well, why did you leave his body there after he entrusted you with his soul?" And Kirk's like, "Whoa,
we're just friends, dude. I don't know what you're.
I don't know what he told you. It's a fucking lie.
It's like Jack Twist telling his family about Ennis Delmar. But Sarek puts his hand, which is there's something vaguely uncomfortable about the Vulcan mind, like the placement of the hand on.
It's very intimate and sort of
intrusive and
yes,
like I don't know.
And maybe but I think it works because it is kind of an intrusive thing.
But I mean, it's just.
It's like the anal sex of face touching.
it's one of those weird. It's one of those like they nailed it.
Yep.
Like I mean like it would make like.
It's like a word that sounds exactly like what it is. Basically, the gesture looks exactly like what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you would think, like maybe like they put their each hand on their temple,
right?
Or they put like their heads together or something,
right.
And it just seems kind of silly. But this just kind of seems like odd, and like I don't know that I'd want someone to do that to me.
Exactly. And it's a big deal whenever they do it. It's except for when Spock like mind meld raped Kirk at the end of what episode was it? It was one of the last three. It wasn't Savage Curtain. It was all our
yesterdays.
All our yesterdays. Okay, and he's like, forget. Which is the setup for the Remember. Okay, so McCoy's also acting crazy. He broke into Spock's quarters, which for some reason were taped off like a police.
Yeah, that was noted. I was watching it with other people, and someone was like yellow tape, really? I'm like, yeah. At that point, like they're like, well, you know, there isn't anything better that we can do. Like yellow, do not enter tape.
Perfected.
It's the height of this technology.
I don't know why they didn't just lock it.
Well, yeah, they put a force field over it. They have
seriously.
Force fields.
Yeah.
But whole Sarek is like he kind of like proves to Shatner that. To Kirk that Spock, you know, that his spirits can still be alive because he mind melds with them, and he repeats the Spock's last words to Kirk,
right?
Which the needs of many are outweighed by the needs of the few or the one.
Outweigh the needs. Yeah. So they figure out basically that Spock's soul still exists, and Kirk figures out like, oh, it's got to be in McCoy who's acting bug nuts.
Yeah.
And then we see McCoy in a bar trying to book passage to the Genesis planet, like Mos Eisley style, with a giant-eared alien.
Yep.
And the alien's like, I'm not going there. Like, Genesis has become, like, the abortion issue of Starfleet in this movie. Like, no one's allowed to talk about it. Like, you can't bring it up in mixed company.
Well, no, yeah,
it's very controversial.
You don't bring it up, like, at dinner parties or,
exactly.
like, people, like, talk about it.
Right. It's the silent Holocaust.
Yeah, exactly. But, it's like, if, like, you're at the dinner table and you're like, eating like, oh, this is really
I'm getting an abortion.
Like, this is really good chicken. It's like, and then the daughter's like, I don't understand why we can't just support Genesis. Like, God damn it, Deborah! Can't we just go one fucking meal while bring up Planet Genesis? And the kid's like, what's Planet Genesis? Like, no, you got Billy talking.
Right. So a Starfleet security officer is in the bar,
mm-hmm.
right? And he comes over to McCoy and he's like, dude, you need to knock it off. And McCoy tries to fucking nerve pinch him.
He does.
And he's shocked when he can't do it.
And the dude's like, what?
Which I laughed out loud at that moment. I was like, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Kirk is talking to the head of Starfleet operations, who apparently has his old job. He swept in while Kirk was away, I guess, adventuring among the stars. And Kirk's like, listen, I gotta go to Genesis because I can save my boy's soul or whatever.
And he says, nope.
He's like, nope, can't do it, homie.
Why?
I don't know why Lil Wayne's on my iPad screen right now. Oh, I guess it's playing somehow. I don't know. What the fuck is going on? I need a new iPad.
So I